Hi everybody, this is Travis. Welcome to Tpull's Corner. It is June, which means it's Evergreen month, which means we go through some of the terms that Wizards of the Coast has designated vanilla, right, to make vanilla creatures. Creatures that have special attributes, but those attributes are so commonplace that they've just become a permanent word. So Deathtouch is one of those, and Deathtouch is our feature for this deck. And basically, if you're new to the game, if you have any kind of damage that you do to a creature, and your source of that damage has Deathtouch, that creature dies. And it can be a spell, but it's mostly creatures. Mostly it's creatures that have Deathtouch. You have spells that can give a creature Deathtouch, and sometimes, occasionally, Wizards will make a spell that says, oh, all your spells have Deathtouch, that kind of thing. But for the most part, we're just mostly picking out creatures that if they hit you, you die. Well, your creature dies anyway. So last year, what I wanted to do was I had a really good deck that I'd made that was white, black, and green. And when I created the Word file, I didn't export it, so it was like a blank sheet of paper when I opened it up. So I ended up creating an all-green Deathtouch deck, and I think I don't know if I had 4 Finn the Fangbangers in it or not, but I had at least 3, I want to say. And it did really well. Like, it did better than my testing on the earlier deck that I had made. So it turned out to be a really good example for Deathtouch. But in this case, I really liked the idea of including other colors. So we went ahead and did this deck. And let's go ahead and go through it now. We got Fang of Shigeki from Kamigawa. This is 1/1 Deathtoucher. Tajiro Blightblades from Zendikar. 3 of those that are 1/1 Deathtouchers. And we have Bride's Crown and Groom's Finery. These are 2 equipments that correspond together. So here with Bride's Crown, it costs 2 to equip a creature, and the creature just gets +2 to their power. But if you also have a creature that has Groom's Finery on it, doesn't have to be the same creature, it could be 2 different creatures. But if you have Groom's Finery out and it's attached to another creature, and you get Bride's Gown out, then suddenly it gets an additional +2 to toughness and has first strike. So your 1/1 Deathtoucher turns into a 3/3 Deathtoucher with first strike. Groom's Finery, if you have it out, the creature gets Deathtouch. Now we don't worry about that for this particular match for the most part, because everybody already has Deathtouch except Thunderous Orator, and he can get it really fast. Which brings us to Thunderous Orator. Whenever Thunderous Orator attacks, it gains any kind of well, not any kind, but about 7 different attributes. So if I have a creature that has flying, Thunderous Orator gets flying when he attacks. In this case, all of my other creatures have Deathtouch, so whenever a Core Wizard attacks, he gets Deathtouch. He's already got Vigilance, which is kind of cool, and I do have a flyer in here, so he can get flying too. But I've got 4 of those. Here we have Devouring Tendrils. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. When the permanent you don't control dies this turn, you gain 2 life. So the key thing on this one is that if my target creature that I control has Deathtouch, the damage that it deals to any other creature is going to be a Deathtouch kind of damage. 1 copy of Finn the Fangbearer. This is a well-known card from Kaldheim. Whenever a creature you control with Deathtouch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. Any player with 10 or more poison counters loses the game. And a lot of Deathtouch cards, or decks rather, have 4 copies of Finn in it, because it just makes it an alternate win condition, right? You hit him 5 times as long as Finn's out with a bunch of Deathtouch creatures, and you get, it doesn't matter if they're only like 1/1s, right? If you get 5 points of damage, you just won the game. So, but, you know, that's been done to death. I'm pretty sure you can find examples of that anywhere. So we want to do something a little bit different. So we do have 1 copy in there. It makes him a little nervous sometimes, but it's not going to be the focus of the entire deck. We've got 1 copy of Triumphant Adventure. As long as it's his turn, or our turn, Triumphant Adventure has first strike, and whenever he attacks, you venture into the dungeon. I'm going to skip over that for a second. 3 of Vargoth, Blood Sky Sire. It's a legendary creature, so we can only have 1 down at a time. But he not only has Deathtouch, but Boast, so when I attack with him, I can spend 2 extra mana. 1 has to be black mana. And I can search through my library for a card, shuffle, and put that card on top. Now it says target player, so this is kind of made for commander decks, and if you're allied with somebody and you can help them out too. It would be interesting to make a deck that makes use of this on your opponent, which I'm pondering about doing, because there's a new Capenna card that you can look at the top of the other player's deck, and that might be kind of fun. So, we'll see if that comes about. That's kind of an off-the-wall idea I haven't seen anybody do yet. 3 copies of Wanti Fangblade. He's a 2/2 Death Toucher, also from Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. Just like Triumphant Adventure, so when he deals damage, you venture into the dungeon. So we've got, 4 cards already that, venture into the dungeon. That should be enough to give us a little bit of advantage, right? 1 Nighthawk Scavenger. He's my flying Death Toucher. He also has lifelink. He gets power equal to 1 plus the number of cards among card types among cards in your opponent's graveyards. So remember, you got like instants, sorceries, creatures, planeswalkers, lands, enchantments, and artifacts. So he can go. You can have up to 7 card types, and his power would be as high as 7 if you had one of each of those in your opponent's graveyard. So we don't want to really get rid of cards in our opponent's graveyard that much, because if we get him out, that's helpful. Okay, Baleful Mastery is one of my other removal cards. We can exile the target creature or planeswalker. Try and save it for a planeswalker, but not exclusively. Diagraph Scavenger, even though I said we don't want to get rid of too many cards in our opponent's graveyard, and I think it's interesting. Here's Nighthawk Scavenger, so the scavenger name there is dealing with the graveyard, and the scavenger here is also dealing with the graveyard, but when this one enters, you exile up to 1 target card from the graveyard. And that's kind of if we're dealing with flashback cards or cards with Disturb, or we're worried about him animating somebody from the grave. We can get rid of 1 card that might be troublesome. We have Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty. He's a legendary, not just a legendary creature, a legendary enchantment creature. It also counts as a shrine. And he's got Death Touch. He's 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, you can pay mana. And when you do, destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. He's my only shrine in the deck, so he can only destroy creatures that have toughness 1, which is just fine because I got him in there to deal with swarm decks. Vengeful Reaper. You can foretell this particular Angel Cleric, and they've got Flying, Death Touch, and Haste. We've got Enrica Domnathe from Innistrad. She's got 1/3 flyer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you haven't chosen one of these 3 options, you can make each player sacrifice a creature. You can draw a card and lose 1 life, or you can transform her. If you transform her, you could make that the first choice. You just don't get to do the other 2 things again. But she becomes Henrika Infernal Seer. She's got Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Each creature you control with Flying, Death Touch, and or Lifelink gets +1 until end of turn. So since everybody I've got pretty much has at least one of those things, then everybody's going to get +1. If I manage to keep creatures out. A lot of times you just get 1 out at a time because they have so much removal. Hunter's Mark is another removal spell. It's instant. It can't be countered, which is nice, so I'm trying to build in something just in case I come up against an irritating blue control deck. It costs 3 less if it targets a blue permanent you don't control, but your target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn and then deals damage to either target creature or planeswalker. We have Spiteful Squad, and they come into the battlefield with 2 +1 counters on it. When it dies, you put its counters onto a target creature you control. And this is kind of why I wanted to make a slightly different Death Touch deck than the green and the black, because green and black have had Death Touch for quite a while. It only bleeds over into white usually when you're dealing with black, like multicolor cards, that kind of thing. You see also, there's like a green-blue Death Touch card that flies for multicolor cards. So Death Touch comes into play when you're dealing with multicolor, and that gets into the whole color pie and their philosophy, Wizards of the Coast philosophy on how to build a good card. But, here it bleeds into white, and also because of Thunderous Orator's power, he can get Death Touch and he's white. So that was kind of cool, I thought. Anyway, Binding the Old Gods. Here's another multicolored card. Destroy target non-land permanent. So this gives me 4 other types of removal, whereas most of the others are dealing against planeswalkers or creatures. Shastra, Death's Whisperer. Multicolored card. Here she's got two kind of abilities, right? The first is Bewitching Whispers. When she enters the battlefield, target creature blocks this turn if able. If I've got an irritating creature that my opponent controls who he doesn't want to attack with because their ability is just so awesome, like, say it's one of the white clerics that gives a +1/+1 counter to any creature it wants. A lot of times they just sit back and let that puppy sit and it never attacks. It just keeps adding counters to all the other creatures. You could designate that creature and it has to block, and of course all of my attackers are going to have Death Touch. So as long as he doesn't have Indestructible, that creature's going to die. The second ability, this isn't just when they enter the battlefield, this is at the beginning of every one of my end steps. If a creature died during the turn, I could pay 2 life, and if so, draw a card. Okay, now we go back to Spinning Wheel Kick, one of the new cards from the Kamigawa expansion. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. So the XX in the casting cost, if you want to just deal it to one creature, you'd still need 4 mana. So you're really trying to hope that you have more than that because you want more than one target. So if you have 2 creatures that you want to deal it with, the X for each of those X's up there has to be 2, which means you're dealing with 6. And if you got 3 targets, of course, then you got to have 8 mana, and so on and so forth. So you're looking at, you want to at least have 2 targets with this card, and hopefully, if it happens later on in the game and you're getting outnumbered, all you need is 1 creature with Death Touch, and you can destroy 3 if you have 8 mana. So that's what we're hoping to do. The rest is the lands. We've got a couple of world trees so that hopefully if the game lasts longer, it doesn't matter what lands we have, we won't have trouble with lands. We've got a couple of main lands, 1 copy Lair of the Hydra, 1 Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and a couple of Field of Runes in case they have those. Alright, that's the deck. This is Evergreen Month. We are in our 1-year anniversary. The topic is Death Touch. We're going to take it out for a spin. Remember to like and subscribe and share the video with a friend. Here we go. I think that's a good assortment of lands from which to start. Dungeon Crawler. And those guys can return. I wonder if he's got 4 of them in his deck. Here's our first blocker. We'll see if he has removal or not. I can still block though. Okay, I was hoping for a land. As usual, my opponent always outstrips me on land. Yep, not a bad plan. Keep whittling me down. I'll just take out 1. And that one was kind of useless, but okay. And I'm still not getting my land. And I'm still on defensive. Ho ho ho! How do we want to do this? Let's get some life back. Oh, now you have a Deathtoucher too. Okay, let's see what we can do here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's got almost enough right there, doesn't he? Okay, cost 3 less if it targets a counter. Okay, so we'll target a creature we control. Target him. He can stop it, right, by sacrificing him. That's fine. I still get 4 life back. Okay, who do we want to kill? Well, I think we want to kill this guy. The others can come through. And let's go ahead and get some more life. Okay, end the turn, and now we start to use my shrine. Auto pay, destroy you. That worked out perfectly. Oh, you're gonna die. Oh, you're so gonna die. I don't even care anymore. No blocks. Who cares? He knew it. Alright, Battle of the Deathtouch, right? Deathtouch won. Yeah, good first effort. Alright, just need a green and I'll be in business. Or, actually, oh, hello. I have the item that goes down first. As usual. Bride's Ground can be my 2-drop, so I need a white land. Let's see, we don't have to worry about Field of Ruin just yet, so Vargoth becomes my 3-drop. And I feel good until he kills me. And of course he has Evolving Wilds with his landfall creature right off the bat. Because why wouldn't he? Never didn't have it. Okay, there's my green. Let's just do this. Sometimes these cheap landfall decks, if you take off the first creature, it slows them down a little. Let's see. Get a forest. Put down another land. And I can boast, right? So 4 points of damage. And what do I want? I know what I want. I'm going to go look for what I want. I'm going to go look for... my Nighthawk Scavenger. And he just quits. Well, do I start calling this a control deck now because of that? I don't know. That's... I mean, I know I mentioned that when you kill their first cheap creature, that can really put a crimp in their plans, but that really just put a crimp in every plan he had. Alright, we'll take it. Alright, we're going up against Johnny Boy 87. So you heard right in the intro, we've been doing this for 20, sorry. We've been doing this for 1 year. I was looking at the 20 number there, I got distracted by my life total. Don't get distracted by your life total. That's just a number. We've been doing this for 1 year, and we started off last year by doing Evergreen month. And we went through all of these different words here. First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Trample, and some others. Let's see. I don't have a white mana, so I can't use him yet. So I'm kind of stuck. So let's just let them think that we've got black mana, and maybe we're an all-black deck for now. And we're doing something a little different, like... originally in the month of June, I had an all Death Touch card, or deck. And this may be a mirror match because he's got Death Touch already. And there's my white. And then the next month after that I started adding stuff in, like doing directed Death Touch, where I'd add in these cards where you deal damage from a creature with Death Touch. And doing combinations that way. And now we can skip a little bit of that introductory stuff, I think, and get a little more complicated and include that stuff straight out the gate. What is he doing to me? I can't block, and I lose a life. Well, that's just not nice at all. Okay, so what do? We get rid of that. Put him back to 2. And we strike. He's got another one. That's cheap. It's very cheap. I don't really have a way around that, do I? Okay, so I was going to try and save this for Vengeful Reaper, but we'll just do that. Get some life back, put down another card, attack with what we got. taking a long time. I can't block. It should go pretty fast. Still losing a life each time. Kind of gross. I was hoping that wouldn't be a land. I got a lot of land right now. Okay, if he has one Null Priest of Oblivion, he might have another. He might bring that back. What do we want to do? We want to do this. Just attack with everybody. Get rid of you. Everybody had Death Touch and Menace, which is handy. And we're done. Gross. I see the strategy behind his deck now. Okay, so if I do Spinning Wheel Kick, 1, 2... Okay, so that'll work. Oh, shoot, hang on. I can't because I need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm dead. These guys don't have Death Touch yet. I need to give that Death Touch. And then I can only do this to 1, right? Shoot, I don't have enough land. Yeah, I think I'm dead. These cheap enchantments were all that he needed. I didn't really have a way to kill these guys. And this is my attempt to do a Death Touch deck without having a board wipe in it. Which might be a mistake. Yeah, now he's got a ton of blockers. I don't have any way to bleed that, do I? Shoot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't. Can exile you. Gain 2 life. I can attack with everybody and deal 4 points of damage if they let me through. And I can search for something. Let's see. Am I all tapped out? No, I've got 2. Okay, so here we go. Baleful Mastery. No, because he's got flying, so it doesn't matter. I'm dead. I don't have any flyers. I was just one step behind him the entire way. What are you waiting for, Johnny boy? He just wants to play all his cards. Play all the cards that you can. He's still thinking. Okay, you've got me no matter what happens. You just have to attack with both. There you go. And I die automatically at the beginning of this turn. Embarrassing. Not the most ideal way of starting, but could still work. Let's start with green. He's already flying. Don't have anything I can do just yet. And if he has any kind of counter spell or scry spell, we're going to have to wait for him or her to decide if they're going to move or not. So, a common hazard if you're playing against a control deck, even though it's only the second turn, these can be very long games. You might have to tell them, okay, it's your go. You do something if you want, but do it or not. Thank you. So I'm guessing it's counterspell coming. Okay, they let it down. So maybe not a counterspell, but maybe a unsummon or another scry spell. Or they just don't care enough to counterspell that. We know he's got Quandrix Command. There we go. They were just saving up for that. But now they're tapped out. And that's what we were waiting for. Although they already did a lot of damage. Let's see if this survives. Okay. Okay, everybody gains... Let's see, do I have enough to do this? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I do. Okay, you come down. You have haste. You're coming down now. Finn the Fangbearer comes down. All three of you. Oh, and we have that too. Let's see. I guess we'll do Scry. Because I don't need land. Oh, I like her. Everybody has Deathtouch. Everybody gets Poison Counter. We don't care about that. No blocks. We'll create a blocker just in case. And unless they can stop 3 of those, they're gonna die. Oh, you're gonna die. Doesn't matter. You're gonna get 10 poison counters. Technically that would have been 12, but the game ends before they can add up to the 12th. As soon as you hit that 10th poison counter, you just win. Okay, our second match was so fast, we have time to do one more. And the World Tree comes down first, because it comes down tapped. Okay, we've got lots of choices here. We don't need white mana just yet. We would need 2 black mana to cast Baleful Mastery, so... Ugh, maybe I should have a board wipe in here. We can get swarmed like anybody else can. Oh wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this now. We've got 2 of these, so I don't mind horribly if we lose one. And he does an incapacitate spell on it, we can just put out the other one right away. Or maybe we just keep it around and have it do this. Did we make him think? No, we didn't. we made them think just long enough to use all the cards in their hand, right? Okay, and that looks like a commanding lead. Let's do this one. If they have another removal handy like that, we may be in genuine trouble. Core Celebrant is not as bad. He's willing to keep attacking, which is fine actually. We'll make that trade there for one of those. Another World Tree. Another Varragoth. Okay, now we don't care about that as much because we'll just get rid of it. Varragoth will stay on blocking duty as long as I don't have enough extra mana to boast. Gross. Okay, this is one that we're going to exile. And this is why we have Baleful Mastery. I don't want him coming back with Icing Death. Still having Varragoth be the guard. He's a demon and a rogue. He doesn't like to be on guard duty. He likes to be attacking, but we do what we have to. Okay, I kind of expected that. Yes, yes, yes. We did expect that. So what do we do against the flyer? Alright, we'll do it. We can't boast yet, but it's time to start putting pressure on him. He's all tapped out. Another Devouring Tendrils. Not entirely unexpected. don't have quite enough mana to bring down my other guy. I just need them not to have another Devouring Tendrils in the first 20 cards of their hand. Okay, that's okay. Interesting choices. 1, 2, 3. Oh, can I do it? I can. Creature I control has Death Touch, Spinning Wheel Kick, destroys them all. So, alright, I guess I do kind of have a board wipe. A mini board wipe. Once I get to that much mana. He didn't even say nice. That was pretty good, dude. At this rate, it's going to take me 23 more turns. He's going to go through most of his deck still. Ah, Bride's Gown. Bride's Gown. We'll take Bride's Gown. Oh, you block. Excellent. Okay, we attack the Spiteful Squad because we get those counters from Spiteful Squad on our other creature. And that's what we were waiting for. That's why we kept this. Yep, I'm kind of getting a lot of lands too there, buddy. I feel your pain. The nice thing is if he has a 1/1, we get to kill it anyway. Oh, this is lovely. Okay, actually we want to hold that in reserve, don't we? Let's just attack. Well, they're going to give it up without forcing us to use Shestra. That's perfect. Shestra's our ace in the hole against creatures like that. Let's see. What do we do against that? That's tough because he doesn't automatically have Death Touch with him. And I don't have the other equipment to make this first strike. So we're actually in a bit of a jam now if he gets down one of the good creature. Oh, and he's going for reinforcements. That's a good time for him to get that card. Only one creature, good. So the rest was land. And that's not a big creature. Okay, so this works. This works just fine. Yeah. 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 All right. That was a mistake because he's got flying now. Oh well. Yeah, perfect. Now we get some of our life back. And Thunderous Raider, you see, has Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink, and his native Vigilance. So you see, it doesn't matter if I pay for this because it's got to be toughness 1 to kill anybody. So it doesn't matter if I tap land for it or not. And now if he tries to attack with a roper, I've got a blocker. And this is when you get to realize that your life total is just a number and doesn't mean anything, right? I'm under my 20. They are actually 8 points higher than where they started. They're at life 28. And they are so in despair, they have completely given up. And that's what happens when you face a Deathtouch deck. I'm sorry, this one's called Multi-Deathtouch. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Alright, that's the deck. You see what happens when we have a bunch of Deathtouchers in there. We even got, even though we only have 1 copy of Finn the Fangbearer, you saw one match in there where getting him down immediately helped us win the game. So that was pretty cool to see. And yeah, it's a fun deck. I might keep it. I really like having Chester in there because I never had Chester in there before. But having to make sure that you designate somebody has to block your 1/1 Deathtoucher is always kind of fun. And I like this new Spinning Wheel Kick card too from Kamigawa. That was fun to add in there. So you could probably still change this up a little bit. Like we didn't get to see Henrika Donathi yet. I want to keep playing until I get to play her. But you could probably stand to have something in here to deal with enchantments. I didn't do any board wipes this time, and I usually do at least one. And since you have white and black, you've got a lot of choices for board wipes, so maybe you could have one in there as well. So there's a lot of different things you could do. And if you're willing to go over 60 cards too, you can just build those in and pump up your lands a little too. Let's see, I didn't do this at the beginning. Right here we've got 26 creatures, which is about as many creatures as I usually have in a deck. So I did try and make this a creature deck for a change, which I don't usually do. But there you have it. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what you would do different. And share the video with a friend. We'll catch you next time. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks. Have a good one.